Good morning, dear industry. Good morning, all industry colleagues and viewers online. One or two of our customers might be watching it, so g'day, mate. 10 slides in 10 minutes, that's my target. I'm going to keep an eye on Jamie there. I thought I'm a kind of practical person, and we're doing a lot of practical things in the market to add value to your product, to venison, farm-raised venison. A couple of observations first. See, hear, taste. It was first time I heard that was when one of our Swedish customers visited New Zealand, and he turned up on the Ewing farm actually, and he said, "Crikey, this is what it's all about. We're going to see it. We're going to go back and tell our customers what we've seen. We're going to tell them about the product." And you know, the king shot is the taste. And one thing we've learned over the years is that when someone tastes New Zealand farm-raised venison, especially Mountain River brand New Zealand farm-raised venison, they're surprised, they're amazed at how good it tastes. From Sweden, the words they used is the clean, fresh flavour. And they're also surprised about the tenderness. And these attributes, just from a purely practical point of view, open up a lot of applications in the market for the chefs. So our task over the years has been to differentiate farm-raised venison from wild venison. And the attribute of tenderness and that clean, fresh taste is what the chefs are surprised about, because they can say, well, crikey, here's a product I can put on the menu all year round. Have I had 1 minute yet? Yep. Righto. 2. A little bit of the Mountain River concept is to link the farm to the market, but it's not a one-way thing, it's a two-way thing. It's got to come back to the farmer. And getting the perspective of the market back to our suppliers is pretty important to us. We send a few suppliers over to the US, which actually does two things. It sends one supplier over there, but he learns a lot from the people he meets, the chefs. He spends a week travelling with distributor salespeople, and he talks to them all the time, and they ask him questions, so the salesperson learns a lot. And they come back to New Zealand, and hopefully they talk to other suppliers and say, oh, well, you know, there's a market over there for this product. Have I had 2 minutes yet?
Almost 3.
Right, sorry, cut that one off. This is incredible. This is in the newspaper, the Financial Times, these clippings, but in the last week. If you'd invested in Beyond Meat, I think you would have tripled your money already. This other one, Impossible Foods, I think they value it at $2 billion or something. Maybe it's going up further, but this was brought to my attention by a customer in the US, because he said, crikey, we've got this nice product, farm-raised venison that's low-intensity farming, and people are going for GE soy products. How does that make sense? Our product is beyond meat. It's the opportunity that he sees in the US market. Right, third minute. Monigo we work with in Sweden. We work really closely with them. You heard Gustav, our colleague in the Swedish market. What we've done is we've got someone who works as a partner in the market. He's only working with our product. So he's out there educating the customers, the sales teams, and we also, the other trick to this is with Monigo, they're a big distribution company, the second largest food service distribution company in Sweden. They don't buy container loads of venison. They want to buy pallet loads. So to service this customer, to ensure that we have Mountain River brand venison sold to the end user, not one of these other brands, or substituted with a wild brand, we have to service them by having product in the market available for them to distribute. So we're an exporter, but we're also an importer because we're importing the product into Sweden and having it stocked there so that they can access it as and when it sells. That guarantees to us that we have an ongoing market. Because this year, actually it's one of our successes, is that we've got at least these 3 restaurants, they have farm-raised venison on the menu all year round, which is a new thing. What that means is we have sales all year round as well. That was a quick slide. China. We've had a project in China which started off as part of the P2P project, and it's still a little bit part of the P2P project. We've had a chef, Graham Brown, go up there, and we tried to recruit, well, we have recruited for ourselves actually, Chef Alan Yu, he's Chinese, but his family immigrated to America when he was 7, and so he speaks good English. And interestingly, he learnt his trade in Western cuisine in the US. So he worked at some restaurants that we sold venison to. So he came to our factory and he said, "Oh, I've seen that brand. They sell it to all the good restaurants in America." So it's kind of gone around in a circle, and chefs are a bit like that. They travel around. But the key thing for us as a Chinese-speaking Western chef, that's a hell of a resource when you're trying to market venison in China to the next level. So we've hit the top level, which is the Western chefs working in China, and the next level is the Chinese chefs working in Western restaurants in China. And that's quite challenging because, 1, they don't speak English, but 2, a Chinese person trained in China in Western cuisine doesn't experience venison because Shannon hasn't been to his cooking school. So that's a big challenge, but Chef Yu's going to help us make some progress. Then Chef Yu was over here in March, then in April Graham went over, and the pictures over the far side are presentation he did at Chef Yu's restaurant, beautiful restaurant, and some really nice dishes. And then, Jamie's about to get up. Then we did another promotion up in the north of... What I want to do is talk quickly about this. Our exports to New Zealand, that's New Zealand's exports to New Zealand since about 2011 sort of went up and then really up, and then more recently a bit down, actually really down. Epic were established in 2013. They have a great story. These guys, and this is something for us to think about. Oddly enough, the roots of Epic were planted shortly after Katie and I became vegetarians. This is all online. You can go and have a look at the Epic story and learn more about it, but essentially they are high-performance athletes. They thought veganism would help them in their performance, and they found it wasn't working, so they thought, we're going to try paleo, and it solved all their problems. So then they thought, well, paleo's fine, but it's a lot of work. Let's make a bar so that it's a snack bar that you can carry in your pocket. They made that. 3 years later, the company sells to General Mills for something like 100 million. They're a huge customer of New Zealand venison. You can also read on the website, it says down the bottom there, their product contains all New Zealand venison. They're proud about the grass-fed, all that, all the good things you do. Pet food, that's another story. This is an article that came out in the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal last November. The pet food story, you can read about that, you just need to Google it. Big food companies found that their sales in retail were plateauing, and if anything, perhaps declining. So they thought, how are we going to boost our sales? And funnily enough, they all decided together that the way to boost their sales was to invest in premium pet food brands. So they did that, bought the pet food brands, set aggressive sales targets, and it appears that they bought a lot of raw material, but they found that because everybody was doing it, their sales grew a little bit, but overall, nowhere near enough. So we had kind of the bubble effect, which is why, he's standing up, we have a dip at the end. I think I'm on track, actually. So, some observations by summary. We have to add more value. There's plenty of opportunity for it. That's what I've tried to give you a flavour for. Getting close to our customers works. We need to understand what they want and explain to them what we can produce and how we can service it. Chefs are often surprised how good the product is. The supply chain from farm, and we talked about this yesterday, the supply chain must be aligned. And it's really goes around in a circle. You coming any closer? I want to hear this quiet clapping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.